Let's get into the video. Am I the jerk for getting my siblings in trouble with our parents because they embarrass me in front of my crush? For some background, me and my older siblings have always had a close relationship with our parents. My older siblings are twins, brothers, and sisters, and they are 3 years older than me. Our parents were pretty great, but they had some quirks, mainly our dad, who had certain beliefs. One of those beliefs was that you shouldn't get intimate with your partner until you're an adult. Growing up, she never understood the normalization of high school hookups and found it weird how some parents were cool with their kids sneaking around, and his friends would brag to him about losing their virginity. But goody two-shoes, and I love to obey my grandparents, and my grandpa hated having his house disrespected. My parents were high school sweethearts. My mom tried to put the moves on my dad when they were 16, but he insisted they wait until 8. My mom was okay with waiting, and that's when they did it. And my dad was proud of himself. He obeyed his parents and decided to carry those lessons on, which he explained to us when we were young. He said that if our hearts were in the right place and for the right person, he would prefer if we waited until 18 but wouldn't end us if we got intimate before then. But when he did not want his house to be disrespected, he said, "Don't even think about doing it under my roof." He was telling my siblings this while I was eavesdropping. Being 11 took it as she didn't want us to do it at all. Plus, it didn't help that I also just kind of naturally agreed with my dad that high school being normalized was weird to me growing up. Even back then, I knew my siblings wouldn't listen because, although we love our parents, they would constantly do bad stuff behind their backs. If I tell you some examples, we will be here all day. Fast forward to when I was 13, and they were 16 with a boyfriend and girlfriend. I knew how close they were just by seeing how handsome and touchy they were. It made me sick. One night I saw my sister with her boyfriend, and her hand was on a zipper. When she saw me, she froze, then quickly took her hand away. And her boyfriend looked disappointed and slightly annoyed. The same thing happened again. But this time it was my brother, who was annoyed as he removed his girlfriend's hand from his zipper. One thing to know about me is that I've always been kind of a rat. I don't mean to snitch on people just to snitch, because I always have good intentions and want to see everyone do well and not do the wrong thing. Another thing to know about me is that, although we obviously love each other, we all fight like siblings do, but being the older siblings, the twins would often gang up on me. Another thing to know is that I never liked their girlfriends and boyfriends. They always tease me. And sisters BF would playfully but still uncomfortably punch me in the stomach. One week they took the teasing too far and told the girl I liked about how I used to wet the bed. She wouldn't talk to me after that, so I had it considering what I saw on the couch the past few nights. I decided to check my siblings' phones, and boom. There were definitely some explicit texts and pictures, and I planned to have them all hang out at her house and plan for me to be with our parents. I waited until the day when their plan was ready. I got mom and dad to make us go home early, and I told them I had a surprise for them and to wait in the car. When I opened the door to the house, I saw my brother and his girlfriend on the couch, shirtless. They were shocked. Well, they were telling me to wait. I ran to my sister's room to find the same number of shirtless teens. I was relieved that I got there in time. Something that none of them knew was that I screenshotted the messages with pictures from their phones and sent them to my phone. While they were all yelling at me, asking why I was there, I sent the screenshots to our parents and entire extended family and told them, so they were all so scared. My sister's boyfriend tried to punch me in the gut, but I kicked him in the groin, and years of disdain for my siblings' significant others came out. I called my brother's girlfriend a slut. Keep in mind I was 13. She wanted to disrespect our dad's wishes, then she slapped me, and I punched her in the face with full force, breaking her nose. My big siblings were pretty much about to end me, but then my parents walked in, clearly having seen the pictures. And my dad expressed his disappointment in my siblings for daring to disrespect his home and saying that if they were going to do it, they should have done it anywhere else. I then asked my dad, didn't you not want him to do it at all? He clarified to me what he actually meant while my mom helped the BF and GF. After my dad finished his clarification to me, he turned to my siblings and said it was not the end of the world if you wanted to be intimate. Just not under my roof. But now, since you want to conspire against me, I will make sure you don't lose your virginity until college. My siblings, BF and GF, were not allowed around the house, and my siblings were not allowed out of the house now without me, needless to say. My siblings were pretty ticked off at me, but of course we still love each other. I'm still shocked that my siblings, BF and GF, didn't break up with them. What shocked me even more is the fact that my dad was successful in making them not be intimate until they left for college. For those of you who are wondering, my mom was pretty much indifferent to my dad's rules. The thing that shocked me the absolute most is the fact that 5 years later, we were all able to look back on this night and laugh. I have since gotten closer to my now brother and sister-in-laws. They've both apologized for teasing me, and I apologized for hurting them. The funniest part of all this is that my crush and I started dating at 15, and she got past my wetting the bed. The funny part is, I tried to make a move on her somewhere we were alone. And that wasn't either of our places, but she was the one that wanted to wait until she was 18 and in college, which we did. Still, my parents tell me that I might have gone a little too far with how I exposed them, so was I the whole. Update. Am I a whole? Stopping my siblings from losing their virginities. Okay, I haven't been completely honest in my last post. My older siblings and fiancé read the post and convinced me to tell the whole truth. The reason I didn't before was because the whole picture is a lot more serious. First things first, the OG post didn't take place 5 years ago, but a decade ago. I'm 23, not 18. For a more detailed background, I'm a snitch. I get it from my dad whenever his friends bragged to him about losing virginity at their parents' house. He would tell their parents that he lost a lot of friends because of this, but he thought the truth was important. I agree with him. My parents were great, but they weren't fully aware of all of our issues. I like my emotional anger issues. I was a very angry person for all of my teens. I will now tell you things left out of the OG post. Initially, the aftermath of the incident was that I got it grounded for a week by sending screenshots of my sibling texts, soliciting cheese pizza to all of my cousins. Whenever my siblings went out with their SOs, I would have to go with them to make sure they didn't get frisky. The twins weren't just ticked off. They told me I was dead to them and that they wished I had been aborted. That comment got them both completely grounded, making them hate me even more. When my big brother, GF, came back from college, he wanted to hit me for breaking his little sister's nose, but my dad stopped it. Because of the red mark she left on my face with a bad enough plus, he wasn't going to let a 20-year-old beat up his middle school son. He tried to tell my dad to let them back out of the house because getting intimate at their age wasn't that big of a deal, and to not let their stupid little brother hurt the rest of their teen years. But my dad reminded him that he had one rule, not to have it under his roof, and they broke that rule as well as his trust, and this was their punishment. Then he pointed out that they were waiting for college. Wasn't that much of a deal. One thing I left out of the last post is that it wouldn't be the last time they tried to outsmart me and my parents. A year after the incident, I was a freshman in high school while they were seniors. I was an edgy, angry 14-year-old who played baseball as an outlet. They were all still out with each other, but clearly pissed that they couldn't have privacy. Every time they hung out, BC was there too, even though they hated me. And sneaking out of the house at night wasn't an option because they all value their beauty sleep. And none of them were very discreet. One day at school in the morning, while in the hallway, I noticed all 4 of them walking out the door, skipping school. I made a mental note of it and immediately knew what they were planning while their parents were at work. What they forgot was that it was a half day at school, so when 12 o'clock hit, I rushed home. When I opened the door, I ran upstairs, yelling, "Hey, arseholes, you forgot it was a half day. I know what you're doing, and I'm telling Mom and Dad." They all rushed out of the rooms, clearly having just put their shirts back on. They told me to leave them alone and that they hated me butting my head into their intimate lives. I then said, "What intimate life?" "Oh yeah, the one I'm preventing from happening." They told me to go F myself. I responded with, "Why? So you can F each other. I don't give a SHT if I'm unalive to you or not. I'm not letting you F-wads disrespect Dad anymore." My brother and sister-in-law got really close to me and told me to leave. I laughed at their faces and said, "F no." I then laughed at my siblings and told them to be prepared to be grounded even longer. My sister then told me that this is why they disown me as their little brother, because I'm an annoying little SH that. Brother GF said that it would be best for me if I let them do it and didn't snitch. I then called my sister and my brothers, GF, Thirsty C. My brother and sister, BF. He proceeded to punch me in the face and gut simultaneously. My sister then punched me in the nuts. Brother GF slapped me 3 times in full force. The 4 of them then used rope to tie my wrist up to a table and went to their rooms. There were even worse red marks on my face, and I was in a lot of pain. After about 10 minutes, I heard kissing from both rooms. I did not want to let them win, so I ferociously chewed my way through the rope. In about 2 minutes, the thing is deep down, I did care that my siblings hated me. I just wanted them to love me again, and I didn't understand why it was a big deal that they would cut me out of their lives. I was hurt, and I felt lonely. I was depressed and sad at 14. All of my rage and anxiety came out as I got my baseball bat and kicked down the door, not before swinging at the doorknob since it was locked. I found my sister and her boyfriend in their underwear, and I snapped. I just started swinging. I broke the BF's arm when he was down. I climbed on top of my sister and just started wailing at her, breaking her jaw. My brother and his girlfriend then came in before my brother got close enough. I grabbed the bat and swung his leg, cracking it immediately. Then his girlfriend tried to swing at me. I may have been 14, but my muscles were coming in, and she was pretty scrawny. I tackled her, and we fell down the stairs. When we got to the bottom, I pinned her to the floor. I know I shouldn't have, but I choked her and slapped the SHT out of her. Her face was as red as a strawberry. I climbed back up the stairs and kicked my brother and the BF in the face. I then stormed out of the house and went for a long walk. During that walk, I leaked the screenshots of the conversations a year prior to the entire school. I was in a lot of pain. I didn't realize it at the time, but my nose was fractured as well as my ribs. The cops found me, my parents called them. At the hospital, we were all together, and GF's brother looked like he wanted me unalive. We were all injured. They didn't press charges because if they did, I would press charges against them too. It took the school a while to fix all the issues with the pictures. It's a miracle I didn't get expelled. Needless to say, we all got grounded again. For damage control purposes, I was sent to live with my aunt and uncle until they left for college. Dad was still set on making them stay virgins until college. But I have a point. They were basically mentally checked out of trying to be sneaky. My parents wanted to get me into therapy, but money was tight, so it had to wait. During this time, I was still angry and depressed. Once they were finally leaving for college, I got to move back home, and one day I saw my siblings. Despite the time apart, we still hated each other and eventually got into an argument. I told them that their SOs were probably cheating with each other, and they told me I'd be alone forever. I then crossed the line and told my brother that it was only a matter of time before his GF became an adult industry star, then told my sister that her FGOT BF would eventually start beating and SA. None of us had the energy to come to physical blows anymore. She was pissed, but then just started crying. My brother ran after her to calm her down. I could tell he was also extremely hurt by what I said. They told my parents I was grounded, even though they were saying horrible things to me too. At the next family gathering, they brought their SOs. I could tell they told me SOs what I said because all I got from them was deaf glares. Then they finally left for college. A little bit after I eavesdropped and overheard that they were engaged and I was not invited to the wedding. They explicitly told my parents to make sure I didn't show up or even know about the wedding. They were getting married side by side at the same time. I was fuming because I had to sit at home grounded while they got to have a great night. I know I shouldn't have. I genuinely have full regrets about doing this. I broke into my dad's liquor cabinet, and in a drunken rage, my mom's phone got to the church. I ran into the door and started throwing eggs at the four of them, ruining the wedding and extending my grounding even further. One day at school, my old middle school crush approached me and asked if I was okay. I said I'd be fine. Deep down, she knew I was lying. She said she was sorry for not talking to me about a dumb, embarrassing thing about me and sharing embarrassing things about herself. We continued talking for a few months, getting closer and talking about life. And I finally started attending therapy. One day I just broke down to her about everything while I was crying, and she just hugged me and told me everything was going to be okay. I brought her to my therapy sessions, where she talked about her inner pain too. I revealed to her my relationship with my siblings, and she remained loving but instructed me to apologize and fix the relationships with them. When I dropped her off at home, we kissed for the first time. It was magical. Then my parents started trying to get us to do family therapy, but understandably, my siblings and in-laws weren't having it at first. But eventually they were convinced to go. They said that I wasn't there, just the parents' third kid. As the month came along, we opened up more about our issues and understood each other more. A few months after that, I remembered my dad's rules about not being in a house, and I took my girlfriend to a private place in the woods, where it was just the two of us. I told her that she would help me get past my anger and anxiety issues and help me stop my bad habits like snitching, and that I loved her and wanted to be with her. She said she loved me too, but she wasn't ready to lose her virginity. Plus, she said it was only fair that I lost my virginity in college, like my siblings. I agreed, and we just made out that I still got to second base. It took years of therapy, but my relationship with my siblings and in-laws got better. The day I went to college with my girlfriend, I tearfully apologized for all the SHT I put them through and all the hurtful things I said. My siblings apologized for abandoning me. We cried and hugged it out while in college. Me and my girlfriend celebrated our anniversary and finally slept together. I felt like such a D-head after because I understood why they wanted to do it so badly. 2 years later, they renewed their vows, and at this point, I was 20, so they didn't have to worry about an amateur outburst again, so I was actually invited. I was at the hospital when my nephew was born, and later my niece. I am now happily engaged to my fiancé, and we're expecting a baby. I don't know why I lied in the first post, maybe because I usually get drunk when I'm on Reddit. Anyway, for the whole truth, I probably won't update again, but you never will. Thanks for reading. Have a nice life. Thank you for watching the video.